Let me ask you something. Have you ever opened your refrigerator and wondered if everything in there really belongs? Or maybe you've noticed that some of your groceries don't seem to last very long, even though you're storing them the right way. Well, what if I told you that keeping certain foods in the fridge might actually be ruining them? And worse, affecting your health? It sounds strange, doesn't it? After all, we've been taught for decades that the fridge is where food goes to stay fresh and safe. But here's the truth. Not every food likes the cold. In fact, there are quite a few everyday groceries that lose their flavor, texture, or even nutritional value when stored in the refrigerator. Some of them might even spoil faster or become unsafe to eat. And this is especially important for those of us in our golden years. As we age, our sense of taste changes, our digestion can become more sensitive, and our immune systems don't respond as quickly. So something as simple as how you store your food, that can make a surprising difference in how you feel day to day. That's why I've done the research for you. I've gone through trusted sources, consulted food safety guidelines, and even looked at what professional chefs and nutritionists say to bring you this guide. And I promise, it's not about fancy techniques or expensive tools. It's about knowing what your food needs and how to treat it right, so it treats you right in return. And I've got a little bonus for you too. Along the way, I'll share not just what not to put in the fridge, but what you should do instead. Practical tips, easy changes, and a few secrets to keeping your kitchen running smarter, not harder. If that sounds helpful, and if you're someone who values simple, healthy habits that make a real difference, I'd love for you to subscribe to this channel. It's completely free, and it means you won't miss any future tips about how to age strong, live well, and feel great doing it. Now let's take a closer look at some of the groceries you might be storing in the fridge right now, without realizing they don't belong there. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Tomatoes. Yes, that beautiful red fruit, or vegetable depending on who you ask, is one of the worst things to keep in the fridge. You see, cold temperatures mess with the natural enzymes in a tomato, causing it to lose its flavor and become mealy. That juicy, garden-fresh taste? Gone. And if you're someone who remembers the way tomatoes used to taste, sweet, firm, and full of sunshine, then storing them in the fridge will only lead to disappointment. Instead, place tomatoes in a bowl on your counter, away from direct sunlight. If they start to over-ripen, that's when you can toss them into a sauce or a soup. But keep them out of the cold if you want that rich flavor and satisfying bite. Now let's talk about another common item, bread. How many of us, trying to make it last longer, tuck a loaf of bread in the fridge? It seems logical, right? Cooler temperatures slow down mold. But here's the catch. The fridge also speeds up a process called retrogradation. That's a fancy word for what happens when bread gets hard and stale. So even if it looks fine on the outside, it's drying out fast inside. The better option? Store your bread in a cool, dry pantry in a bread box, or even just in its original bag, tightly sealed. If you know you won't eat it in time, slice it up and freeze it. That way you can toast one slice at a time, and it'll taste fresh. Not like a cold sponge from the back of the fridge. Here's another one that surprises almost everyone I speak with. Onions. A lot of folks toss onions into the crisper drawer, thinking that's the best place. But here's the problem. Refrigerators are moist, and onions hate moisture. That damp environment can cause them to grow mold, get mushy, or start sprouting early. Plus, when stored next to other produce like potatoes, they can actually speed up spoilage for both. Keep your onions in a dry, ventilated spot, like a wire basket or mesh bag. Somewhere cool and out of the sun. A pantry shelf works great. And make sure they are away from your potatoes. Those two don't play well together. Now let's touch on something that feels personal to many of us. Flavor. As we get older, our taste buds become a bit less sensitive. So keeping foods that still pack a punch is even more important. That's why herbs are one of the biggest disappointments when stored the wrong way. Most people wrap them in a damp paper towel and toss them into the fridge, hoping they'll stay fresh. But more often than not, they end up slimy or wilted in a few days. Instead, treat your herbs like flowers. Trim the stems and place them upright in a glass of water on the counter. Cover them loosely with a plastic bag and change the water every couple of days. Parsley, cilantro, basil. They'll stay fresh and flavorful for over a week this way. And when food tastes good, we're more likely to eat well. And that matters at every age. Let's move on to coffee. That's right. Coffee doesn't belong in the fridge. You might be thinking, but I want to keep it fresh. And that's totally understandable. But refrigeration introduces moisture and odors. Two things that can ruin the complex flavor of coffee. Coffee is like a sponge. It absorbs smells, and those changes sneak into your morning cup. That clean, rich aroma turns dull or even sour. If you buy ground coffee, store it in an airtight container in a dark cupboard. If you buy whole beans, the same rule applies. Keep them dry, cool, and away from light. You'll enjoy every sip a whole lot more. And now, here's a little bonus tip. Something easy you can do today. Take 5 minutes to go through your fridge door and check those items you reach for most often. Are there condiments that don't need to be there? Garlic, for example, lasts longer when stored dry and whole, not peeled and cold. Honey, too. Refrigeration causes it to crystallize and harden, making it tough to pour or spread. Room temperature is its happy place. As we get older, making small adjustments to our environment, even something as simple as rearranging our groceries, can improve how we eat, how we feel, and how we stay safe in the kitchen. Less spoilage means fewer foodborne risks. Better flavor means more satisfying meals. And keeping things in the right place just makes life easier, which is something we all deserve. Let's keep going, because we've just scratched the surface. The fridge might feel like a safe place for everything, but the truth is, for some foods, it can be their worst enemy. And once you know what to look for and why it matters, you'll start to notice how small changes in your kitchen routine can add up to better meals, less waste, and a whole lot more confidence when it comes to what you eat. Here's something you might have tucked into the fridge without a second thought. Potatoes. Whether they're russets, reds, or golden Yukons, many people think colder equals fresher. But storing potatoes in the fridge actually changes their chemistry. The cold causes their natural starches to convert into sugar faster, which not only messes with the flavor, making them oddly sweet, but also leads to an unpleasant texture when cooked. Plus, when those sugars interact with heat during cooking, they can produce compounds that aren't great for your health. So what's the better option? A paper bag or basket in a cool, dark corner of the pantry or kitchen cupboard works best. Keep them dry, away from sunlight, and far from onions. That way your potatoes will stay firm, flavorful, and safe to eat, ready for a warm batch of mashed potatoes or a comforting soup whenever the mood strikes. Let's move now to something a little more colorful: fruit. Specifically, stone fruits like peaches, plums, nectarines, and apricots. They're beautiful, juicy, and full of flavor, but only when they're stored properly. And the fridge, believe it or not, can ruin that experience. You see, stone fruits need time to ripen naturally at room temperature. When you pop them in the fridge too soon, that process slows down dramatically. The fruit stays hard, doesn't develop its full flavor, and when you finally bite into it, well, it's a letdown. And for those of us who remember biting into a peach so sweet it dripped down our chin, that bland taste just doesn't cut it. Instead, keep stone fruits on the counter until they're ripe. You'll know they're ready when they give just slightly to a gentle squeeze. Once they reach that perfect ripeness, you can then put them in the fridge if you need to stretch their shelf life for a couple more days. But always give them the chance to ripen first. It's worth the wait. Now let's talk about garlic. Garlic is one of those ingredients we reach for often. It brings life to so many dishes. But when you store whole garlic bulbs in the fridge, you actually shorten their lifespan. The cold and moisture make them sprout faster and become rubbery. And sprouted garlic? It tastes bitter, not bold. Whole, unpeeled garlic should be stored in a dry, breathable container in a cool part of your kitchen. Not the fridge. A ceramic garlic keeper or a mesh bag works perfectly. And don't store it in plastic either. Garlic likes to breathe, and it'll last longer and taste better when you give it that chance. Let me share a quick story here. A dear friend of mine, Edna, who just turned 81, called me the other week and said, "Why does my garlic always look like it's growing arms?" We laughed, and when I asked where she was keeping it, she said proudly, "In the fridge door." I gently told her that was the problem, and after she moved it to a dry basket near her spice rack, she called me back a week later and said, "I finally remembered what garlic's supposed to taste like." Sometimes all it takes is one little fix to bring back the joy of food. And speaking of joy, how many of you like a nice ripe avocado? Now this one is tricky because avocados are sensitive. Too soft and they turn mushy. Too firm and they're hard as a rock. The key is knowing where to keep them at each stage. If your avocado is still firm and needs to ripen, do not put it in the fridge. Let it ripen on the counter, just like you would with bananas. Once it's soft to the touch and you're not quite ready to use it, that's when it's okay to place it in the fridge, just for a day or two, to slow down the ripening. This little trick can help you avoid those disappointing moments where you slice one open only to find brown mush inside. Now I want to talk about something sweet and sticky that often gets stashed in the fridge for no reason. Honey. Honey is one of nature's miracles. It never spoils. Archaeologists have even found pots of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are still edible today. But when you refrigerate honey, it starts to crystallize. That thick golden pour turns into a gritty lump that's hard to scoop and even harder to spread. So keep your honey at room temperature, tightly sealed in a glass jar or its original container. A pantry shelf works just fine. And if your honey has already started to crystallize, don't throw it away. You can warm it gently in a bowl of warm water and it'll return to its smooth golden state. No waste, no worry. At this point, you might be wondering, why weren't we told any of this sooner? And that's a good question. So many habits in the kitchen come from generations before us or from labels that focus more on marketing than real food wisdom. And as seniors, we've earned the right to know better, to take back control of our choices and our health. Food, after all, is one of the most intimate parts of our lives. It connects us to memories, to culture, to comfort. And storing it the right way isn't just about convenience. It's about preserving that connection, making sure each bite is flavorful, safe, and nourishing. And let me say this too. If any of this feels overwhelming, don't worry. No one's expecting you to overhaul your whole kitchen in a day. Start small. Pick one or two items from today's list, make a change, see how it feels, taste the difference. And before you know it, these little steps become part of your routine. Remember, taking care of yourself doesn't have to be complicated. It can start with something as simple as moving the onions out of the fridge or letting a peach ripen on the windowsill. These are quiet acts of self-care, and you deserve them. You've spent a lifetime feeding others, looking after families, hosting holidays, and sharing meals. Now is your time to feed yourself well with knowledge and love. Now that you've already taken a few small steps towards smarter grocery storage, let's keep that momentum going. Because the choices we make in our kitchens, especially the quiet ones, like where we place our food, often say something bigger. We're still in control of our health, our routines, and our quality of life. Let's keep going with a food that many seniors love to keep on hand. Fresh basil. It's fragrant, flavorful, and adds a wonderful touch to pasta, sandwiches, or even a simple tomato salad. But basil is also one of the most sensitive herbs out there. And the fridge, it's far too harsh for it. Basil doesn't just wilt in the cold. It turns black, loses its flavor, and often absorbs the smells of whatever else is in the fridge. Eggs, onions, garlic. All those strong odors can seep right into delicate basil leaves. So if you've ever reached into your fridge expecting a burst of fresh herbal aroma and instead found a soggy, bitter mess, now you know why. Here's what to do instead. Just like you would with fresh flowers, place basil in a glass of water on your counter. Trim the stems a little, put the bunch in the glass, and loosely cover it with a plastic bag. It'll stay fresh for up to a week, sometimes longer, and it will smell and taste the way it should, like summer, like comfort, like real food. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about apples. Yes, apples. A lot of folks toss them right into the fridge crisper drawer, thinking that's the best way to keep them crisp. But here's the thing, apples actually do just fine at room temperature for a week or two. and they retain their full flavor that way. In fact, chilling apples too soon can dull their sweetness. Plus, apples give off a natural gas called ethylene, which speeds up the ripening and sometimes the spoiling of other fruits and vegetables nearby. So keeping apples in a fruit bowl on the counter not only helps them taste better, but it protects the rest of your produce too. That said, if you've bought a big bag of apples and you know you won't eat them all quickly, it's okay to store some in the fridge. Just keep them separate from other fruits, preferably in a paper bag to reduce moisture buildup. But start by keeping a few fresh and ready to enjoy on the counter, where they'll remind you to grab a healthy snack. And now, let's round out our list with a food that's often misunderstood: cucumbers. Crisp, cooling, and so good in a summer salad. Cucumbers seem like they belong in the fridge, right? But here's the catch: cucumbers are very sensitive to cold. Too much time in the fridge causes them to go watery, mushy, or develop pits in the skin. That satisfying crunch? Gone. If you plan to eat your cucumbers within a couple of days, keep them on the counter, away from direct sunlight. If you need to store them longer, it's okay to refrigerate. Just wrap them in a paper towel and place them in a loose plastic bag in the fridge's warmer sections, like the top shelf or a fridge door compartment. That'll help them hold on to their texture and taste without turning to mush. Now let's pause here for a moment, because I want to offer you something more than just storage tips. I want to talk about what all of this really means. See, the point of this video isn't just to help you get a better tomato or keep your basil fresh. It's about making your home a place that supports your health and your independence. These little kitchen decisions, they're like pebbles on a path. Each one moves you closer to feeling confident, safe, and capable in your own space. You've earned that, you know. After years of caring for others, raising families, working hard, managing households, this is your time to be cared for, even if it starts with the simple act of honoring what your food needs to stay good. And that brings us to a few final thoughts. Practical things you can do today with no pressure, no extra cost, and no steep learning curve. First, walk into your kitchen and look at your fridge with new eyes. You don't have to toss everything out or start over. Just start by moving one item. Maybe those onions, maybe that garlic. Take them out, place them in a bowl on the counter or in a cool drawer, and see how much longer they last. Then notice how your food starts to taste just a little bit better, how a tomato slice actually has flavor, how your bread doesn't feel like cardboard after 2 days in the fridge. Those tiny moments, they matter. And here's something else to consider. Proper storage doesn't just improve flavor or reduce waste, it also makes cooking easier. When your herbs are visible, you're more likely to use them. When your potatoes are firm, they're ready for that hearty stew. When your fruit tastes sweet and juicy, you'll reach for it instead of something processed. These are quiet wins, but they add up to a healthier, happier life. Now let's talk about the ripple effect. Maybe you live alone. Maybe you share your home with a partner. Maybe you've got grandkids who come by on the weekends. However your home is set up, know this: when you take better care of yourself, you model something powerful. You show that wisdom and intention go hand in hand, that good habits never go out of style, that a healthy life is made, not just in doctors' offices or gyms, but in the simple, thoughtful choices we make each day, like where to keep the apples. And if you've been watching this far, I want to thank you, because your willingness to learn, adjust, and take small steps is exactly what helps you stay independent longer. Stronger longer, happier longer. So if you're ready for one more tip, here it is. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Maybe you only change where you store your tomatoes. That's a win. Maybe next week you take a closer look at your herbs or decide to stop refrigerating honey. That's a win too. No step is too small when it's moving you toward better living. You don't need to master everything overnight. Just begin. Let your kitchen reflect the care you deserve, with freshness, flavor, and smart choices that help you feel good about the meals you prepare and the body you nourish. Let's take a moment together and breathe. You've just spent time learning something that most people overlook their entire lives. But you didn't. You took the time, the care, and the curiosity to discover how small changes in your kitchen can lead to bigger changes in your health, your confidence, and even your daily joy. We started with a simple idea that some groceries don't belong in the fridge. And maybe that seemed trivial at first, just food storage. But now you've seen what it really means. It's not just about keeping a tomato juicy or a slice of bread soft. It's about honoring the food you bring into your home, the body you feed, and the life you're still building every single day. So let's gently pull all of this together, like wrapping up a good meal with a warm cup of tea and a few quiet thoughts. You now know that tomatoes lose their flavor in the fridge, bread dries out faster, and onions become soggy and sprout when kept cold. You've learned that basil wilts in the chill, that garlic prefers a dry breath of air, and that honey turns thick and gritty if refrigerated. You've seen how cucumbers go limp, apples lose sweetness, and potatoes change in ways that could affect both taste and safety. But more importantly, you've seen how every one of these changes is something you can influence. You've been given back a little control over your kitchen, your food, your health. And that, my friend, is no small thing. The doctor's office may be where diagnoses happen. The pharmacy may be where medicine lives. But your home, especially your kitchen, is where healing begins. When you store food wisely, eat mindfully, and choose to nourish yourself with care, you're choosing to live with strength and purpose. That's something to be proud of. Because at this stage in life, it's not about chasing youth or doing everything perfectly. It's about making the years you do have as vibrant and free as possible. That's why I want to encourage you to take what you've learned here and put it into motion. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today, start small. Maybe it's going to your fridge and pulling out that bunch of garlic, finding it a new home in a basket or bowl on the counter. Maybe it's moving your apples to a spot where you'll see them and be more likely to enjoy one as a healthy snack. Or maybe it's simply making a list of what to adjust over the next few days. There's no rush, no pressure, but I do encourage you not to let this be just another video. Let this be a starting point, a turning point, a moment where you said, yes, I can do this. I'm going to make this simple change because I deserve to live well. And if you're feeling a little unsure, let me remind you, you've done hard things before. You've navigated changes, challenges, and chapters in life that would make most people pause. This question mark, this is one of the easiest wins you can give yourself. It doesn't require a new diet, a gym membership, or anything drastic. Just a little shift in awareness, a little act of kindness toward yourself. Now let's talk about how these little changes ripple outward. When your food stays fresh longer, you waste less. That's good for your budget. When you enjoy more flavor, you're more likely to eat healthy meals. That's good for your body. When you feel confident preparing your own food, even something as simple as toast or soup, that supports your independence. That's good for your spirit. And when you're home, your habits and your health all start working in harmony, something beautiful happens. You stop just getting through your days and start enjoying them more. And isn't that the goal? To enjoy life, to wake up feeling good about the day ahead, to eat something that tastes just right, to move through your home without confusion or frustration, to feel proud of the care you take, even in the quiet, everyday moments. So as we close, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts. Not rules, not instructions, just gentle reminders that you can carry with you. You are still learning, and that's a gift. You are still capable of change, and that's a strength. You are still worthy of good food, good health, and good days ahead. And that's a truth. So go ahead, open your fridge, rearrange a shelf, clean out that crisper drawer. Make your kitchen a place that reflects the care you have for yourself. And if you feel proud afterward, that's no accident. That's you stepping into your power. And while you're at it, share what you've learned. Maybe a friend or neighbor still thinks cold bread stays fresh. Maybe your adult kids never knew that potatoes shouldn't go in the fridge. Maybe your grandchild asks, why do your tomatoes taste so much better than the ones at home? That's your moment to pass on the wisdom, to be the one who knows, because you do. Now, before you go, I want to thank you truly for spending this time with me. It means a lot that you're here, learning, growing, and choosing to take care of yourself in this way. If this video helped you, please give it a like. It lets me know you found value in it, and it helps others find it too. If you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, I'd be honored to have you join our community. We're building a space here just for you, one where aging doesn't mean slowing down, but getting smarter, stronger, and more in tune with what matters most. And finally, leave a comment. Tell me, did you find something in your fridge that surprised you? Are you already storing something differently now? What tip are you going to try first? I'd love to hear from you, and so would others watching. Your voice matters. Your story matters. So here's to you, to your health, your kitchen, and your beautiful, ever-unfolding life. You're doing better than you think. You're learning, adapting, and taking control in small, meaningful ways. And that, my friend, is the very definition of strength. Until next time, take care of yourself and take pride in even the smallest steps, because they all lead somewhere good.